This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon.com/2headed nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Once, they were two best friends managing a comic book store. But when an innocent blood oath went wrong, the two found themselves trapped in the same body, imprisoned in a strange pyramid made of long boxes, buried deep below their hometown, where they are doomed to discuss comic books until the end of time. They were once Joe and Matt. Now they are known as the Two-Headed Nerd. And this is their podcast.
Broadcasting from the Ziggurat at Omaha and caverns deep below the metro area, where, so far, we're pretty sure the Joker did it.
Yeah, he's like Skeletor in Gotham. He's guilty of like everything bad.
Smoking
right?
gun, am I right?
Come on.
It's our pleasure to welcome you to another back issue show, episode 779 of the Two-Headed Nerd comic book podcast. I'm your head number one for this evening, the internet's Joe Patrick.
And I'm your head number two. My name is Matt Baum. And because our Cosmic Short Box is sick of us screwing around, it demands we finish our reread of the original Batman Hush storyline and make our final judgments on whether or not Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee's legendary story is actually the stuff of legend. We were pretty harsh when we came into this experiment. We'll find out.
Going into the experiment, our minds were made up. It's true. And we ate our words halfway through. There'll be twists, turns, McGuffins, and McMuffins as Jeph Loeb's mystery plays out. Who will be revealed as Hush? And will Matt and I remember anything we read from part one?
Debatable.
All will be revealed in this exciting episode because it's part 2 of Hush Part 1 time in the Ziggurat.
Couldn't leave well enough alone. And now, because we have a sequel to Hush, we're going to have to constantly say Hush 1, Hush 2. And I'm not doing Hawunch and Hatoosh.
You don't want to do Hawunch and Hatoosh?
No.
I don't know.
As loyal listeners will remember, we read the first 6 issues of Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee's first Hush storyline, leaving off at the exciting cliffhanger when Batman discovers Tommy Elliott dead at the hands of the Joker in the end of Batman 613. Macho! Fetch us Hush! Part 1, Part 2!
Right away, Sir Matt. I assume you are referring to Batman issues 614 through 619. Rest assured, your joke is hilarious.
Joe Patrick, we begin with Batman, number 614. This is part 7, The Joke. After the murder of Dr. Thomas Elliot, Batman immediately assumes the Joker's responsible. Why? Well, he's right there with a gun on the dude's corpse. So,
I mean, it is a joke gun with the little flag that says bang. But as we all know, the Joker's joke props are also deadly props.
This is true. And I would also say, though, like Batman being the detective that he is, he kind of jumps to a conclusion here pretty quickly and without hesitation.
I don't think it's a jump, Matt. He's practically got his feet on the body.
And if he were anyone but the world's greatest detective, I would agree. But if you have the world's greatest detective in front of your name, maybe you ask a couple questions.
I mean, perhaps, but also his best friend that he was just reminded of after.
Yeah.
The best friend that he forgot existed for 30 years is back in his life, and he's real upset.
Yeah. Sherlock Holmes doesn't do this. That's all I'm saying. But without hesitation, Batman begins brutally beating the Joker in the streets of Gotham. There's these amazing scenes where Jeph Loeb takes all the color out of the panels.
Black and red.
Oh, and it's just Batman seeing red, and he's thinking about all the trauma that the Joker has caused. We get to see the paralyzing of Barbara Gordon, the murder of Jason Todd, and the death of Sarah Essen. And if you're saying, who is Sarah Essen? That was Jim Gordon's wife. I kind of forgot that was her name too for a minute.
Jim Gordon, the second ex Mrs. Gordon.
Yeah. I mean, being a cop's difficult.
Oh, no, wait. They were still married when she died.
They were still married when she died. Yeah. He had another ex-wife, but being a cop's hard. I get it.
Yeah. Barbara Gordon Sr.
Yeah. Batman is insane, beating the hell out of the Joker. And there's this one of the best Joker moments I think I have seen in a while, where you've got the panels of Batman punching him in the stomach, punching him in the face, and every time he hits him, the Joker's going, stop, stop, stop. And it seems like he's begging for mercy, but then he goes, stop me if you've heard this one before. As he's being
so good. So good.
A great line. And he says, looks right at him, Batman, I'm innocent. I didn't kill this guy. Now, Joker's a liar, and he lies about stuff. In this moment, I don't think he could be any more honest.
I honestly don't think that the Joker is known for being a liar. He certainly wouldn't lie about murder.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, why? Why wouldn't he? Why? Yeah. Like, this is the Joker. Why wouldn't he be like, ha ha, yeah, sucker, got you, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And now, to be fair, it's a very short moment because Harley Quinn's right behind him with a giant hammer, and she tries to hit Batman with it because at this time, that is what Harley did. She had a big hammer, funny suit. She ran around cracking jokes.
She's the cartoon version of Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Batman, of course, kicks Harley in the stomach so hard she flies away.
Yeah, right in the solar plexus.
Yeah. Then we get some amazing watercolor work of Batman. Again, remembering Barbara. This is just like absolutely beautiful. And Lee has been peppering the book with this, seeing her in the chair, thinking about how awful this all is and how easy it would be to just blame the Joker and kill him. Killing joke moment again. But Catwoman tries to stop him because, one, she's in love.
She knows better.
She knows better. She's in love, first and foremost, and she knows.
Well, and she knows that he will regret it, is what I meant by she knows better.
This is not Batman's style, and that's what Catwoman's doing here. And and I like that moment too, because like Catwoman care less if the Joker dies, probably, but
she doesn't want Batman to be the one.
Yeah. I mean, shouldn't be. It's going to ruin him. And we need this hero, right? Him and Catwoman get into it a little bit. There's some pushing. There's some shoving.
So again, we're going to keep gushing about this, but the flashbacks again,
they're just stunning.
There's this black and white, a black and red flash of Death in the Family.
Yeah.
And it is a spot on recreation of Mike Mignola's cover to chapter 1 of A Death in the Family, or one of the chapters, the most famous cover.
Yeah. The most famous Batman holding him and stuff. Yeah.
No. I mean, the one where it's just like a close up.
Oh, just his face, like
lifeless face. Yeah. And like, it is almost an exact recreation, but in Jim Lee's style. And then we get the pictures of him cradling the body. He kind of looks like the movie Batman because of the way Jim Lee draws the oval, which I fucking love. I just love his take on that costume. God, it's so good.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Good. Catwoman is still shoving him around. He punches her in the bullet wound because remember, she got shot a couple issues ago.
She got shot.
And just knocks her out. It hurts so bad she goes to sleep, I guess. Which I'm sure sucks.
I mean, the pain, but pain can make you pass out.
Yeah, and unless you're Frank Miller, you're not going to have Batman punching women in the face. So, I mean, I get it. Good choice, Jeph Loeb.
Right.
Another incredible, just like penciled panel of Batman.
I actually thought that this was a mistake at first. I was like, oh no, this is like this collection accidentally put in a page from the Hush, like,
no, this is right in there.
Uncovered or whatever it was called, the Hush black and white, like where it was just the pencil art.
Yeah, this is right there. I was in my Hush Absolute Edition. This is right in there. It's
yeah, man,
just a beautiful page.
Wowie zowie.
So from there, the Joker's running away. There's a fun little Joker joke where he's like, wild man, crazy man, help, Batman.
Batty man, yeah.
And who shows up? Commissioner James Gordon. He's right there, points a gun at Batman, tells him, stop or I'm going to shoot you. And Batman's like, not even listening. He grazes Batman's shoulder with a bullet because Jim Gordon's just that good, apparently.
He is.
I don't know that I would risk it, but he's that good. He also probably knows that Batman is bulletproof. So,
Well, I mean, if you want to no prize it, let's just pretend that he wasn't trying to hit him at all. And so he's not as
maybe
he's like, oops, I didn't mean to graze you. I mean, I say that, but then in the very next panel, he like takes the tip off of one of his his ears.
Right. So
which is
no prize
pretty
revoked.
much Olympic level
Yeah,
marksmanship.
this is not a no shit, I shot Clarence in the face.
This is
moment.
that Croatian guy from the Olympics, right? In the t-shirt. He's just like, whatever.
Jim Gordon talks him out of it in another moment where like it took both Catwoman and Jim Gordon to be like, you don't want to do this. You cannot do this. You're Batman. This is against your rules. We need you to be a hero, right? And the Joker is in a pile, laying there. I'm innocent, squeaking. And of course, overlooking the whole thing. Wait.
Before we move on quickly, there's this great moment where Gordon pauses because he's like, think about this, Batman. Think about this.
Yeah.
And he says, God help me, you've thought this through.
Yeah.
As though like Batman has premeditated what he would do if he decided that the Joker needed to be ended. And he's like,
I took it a different way.
Well, he says it right. He says, you have thought this through.
No, I know that. But that line, you've thought this through. I took it as it could go another way. Whereas he knows he won't let him kill the Joker, but he might kill Batman to stop him and end all of this another way.
Oh, maybe that could be.
Yeah.
And that's so why you can read it that way, which is because
that's why he takes the gun away.
And then
like I won't do it.
You can also read it like I'm okay with throwing my life away.
Sure, but in that moment when he says here's I'm not saying you're right or wrong. The way I thought it in that moment.
I think you can read it either way.
Batman is still choking the Joker and Jim takes the gun away from his head and says, "You have thought this through." And it said to me like, you thought I might kill you, which is kind of a really creepy moment.
I mean, and Batman's hands are covered in blood.
Yeah.
It's just like,
it's bad.
Such a great thing. And it ends, with this moment where it's like, like Batman, if you cross the line, if you kill the Joker, I will lead the hunt to bring you to justice.
Yep.
You'll be no different than him in my eyes. And Batman says, how many more lives are we going to let him ruin? And Gordon says, I don't care. I won't let him ruin yours.
Right. And then Joe Patrick, we find out Tommy was not in fact Hush because Hush is standing there in the alley watching all this take place.
We still see Tommy's dead body.
Tommy is dead, so it can't be Tommy. It's not Tommy. It cannot be. It's impossible. You know who it is? It's Two-Face because he's flipping a coin. We were wrong. It's not the Joker. It's not
wait
Tommy.
A minute. Hold on a minute.
Two-Face. End. There you go. We figured it out. We're done here.
Hush Part 2 of Hush Part 1 is over.
Yep.
The villain is Two-Face.
It's Two-Face. This is a hardcore buy it. No question. I'm still
this issue rules.
Fully in buy it mode. This is great. At this point, we have no idea what's going on.
No, and consider like everybody knows how Hush ends because it's 20 years ago and people have read it as a trade. We read it month to month.
Right.
When Tommy gets shot and there was the cliffhanger, we were like, uh-oh, wait a minute. But I thought, and then in this issue, where we actually see Hush standing over the scene and Tommy's dead body is still on the ground, we were like, oh, shit.
Sure. But I will bring some evidence that we will once again find to be true later. We do know that Clayface is a part of this story.
Well, hindsight is 2020.
It is, but they've already let us know that Clayface is part of the story. So it was kind of right there that there's some evidence.
I mean, they shot. Okay, but yes, you're right.
Yeah. I mean,
but all signs point to this being legit because what they find before them is a body that looks human with blood coming out of it that they bury in the ground.
I don't disagree. Does that mean Clayface is being used? With the information we have at hand, I agree with what you're saying.
Well, let's find out together.
We're on Batman 615, Chapter 8, The Dead. And it opens at the funeral. We're mourning Tommy Elliott. It's a very solemn moment. It's raining because I don't think there's ever been a funeral in Gotham where it wasn't raining.
Yeah, right.
Batman is having flashbacks, remembering going to his first funeral at the age of 10 when his parents died. I don't know if you remember that, but
grim.
That was a whole thing. Everybody's there. Tim Drake, Selena Kyle, Alfred, Leslie Tompkins. It's this rare moment of vulnerability for Bruce. He's like upset, crying. And it kind of seems like Nightwing and Selina are both kind of like, he barely knows this.
Tommy's chauffeur is there.
Yeah, he barely knows this dude. Why is he so upset? They're kind of like, I don't totally get it. Back in the Batcave, Bruce, he's been awake for 56 hours, by the way, he mentions at this point, dives into detective mode. He's analyzing evidence surrounding Tommy's murder, and he begins to question the narrative. This is where he should have been like, I'm curious about the bullet wound and where it, but he's more sort of obsessed. So I think they're trying to illustrate, yes, the Batman would normally do that. This Batman is clouded. His judgment is bad.
So here's what I think now. I think that Batman still thinks the Joker did it.
He just says ballistic report indicates the bullet was fired from a 9mm Glock standard issue Gotham City Police Department firearm. That's all he's got.
Oh.
That's it.
Police issue.
Yeah.
No, that's a thing that comes up. I think that comes back around now that you say those things out loud.
Well, yes, but not in the way that. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's all coming back to me now.
This is when Nightwing finally shows up to be like, hey, man, are you okay? There seems to be a lot of weird shit going on.
Yeah. I love how everyone at the funeral is just like, get a load of this fucking nerd who is being so dramatic reading, oh, Captain, my Captain.
Oh, yeah. It was a thing.
Like it's dead fucking poet society.
But it's also like he doesn't act like this. What are we doing? This is weird. And we're all illustrating there's something wrong with Bruce. Definitely wrong. So Nightwing visits him. He's noticing that Bruce is under all kinds of mental and emotional strain. He offers support and he encourages Bruce to be honest with Selina about his dual identity, because he's like, hey, man, you got to confront someone. If you're into Selina and you're not going to confront, talk to anyone else, you got to talk to her. You got to do it.
Well, and immediately preceding the Nightwing scene, this is where we learn that Tommy's mother died of cancer.
Oh, right. Yeah. Dad got
years after the car accident that killed his dad.
Yes.
You and I were under the impression originally that the car accident killed them both. And we were like, oh, wait, no.
Just killed dad.
Lived.
No, we got to the point where we killed dad. We didn't know we couldn't remember how mom died.
Well, we knew because we'd read Hush before.
Right.
But this is the point in the story where we learn, oh, Tommy's mom died of cancer. We don't know how long she lived.
Yeah.
So the whole origins being similar thing is out the window because mom lived.
So regardless, Nightwing is talking to Batman, and Nightwing is very much like, hey, man, I have relationships with super people. It's not a big deal. You should do it, too. You got to figure this out. And he's like, I'm busy. And he's like, I get it. You're trying to look into this. And Batman looks right at Nightwing and says, the Joker didn't kill Tommy.
Hey.
So he knows something's up. And Nightwing's all, whoa, hold up, dude. You're there. You saw it. And he said, I saw what I was meant to see. I heard what I was meant to hear. A gunshot. Tommy's body lying dead with a bullet through his heart. The Joker holding a smoking gun. But as I said, the Joker didn't kill Tommy. So this is when he's realizing everyone around me is being manipulated. And I think Batman is starting to realize I have been manipulated as well.
This is an orchestrated plot. These separate things that are happening. Killer Croc, Clayface, the Joker, Harley Quinn, like these are all Poison Ivy. These are all things. These are all linked together. He says it involves the manipulation of Killer Croc, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. It reaches as high as Superman and as low as the Joker. Everybody that we've met so far in this story is part of this master plan.
Yeah, but more importantly, he says it even got to me. I almost killed the Joker.
Now he knows he's being played.
Yes.
And now Batman is like, game on.
Yeah, it got to, I almost killed the Joker. And then he's like,
they almost got me.
I honestly wanted to.
I totally wanted
Which
to
is like,
that.
and it's this great moment where we get, like, Jeph Loeb writes Nightwing so fucking well. It's this great moment where Batman's been being Batman the whole time. And Nightwing is just like, dude, that's fine. The important part is you didn't do it. You know, like you did the right thing. Settle the fuck down. Boom, alarms go off. Oh my God, what's going on? Oracle's like, oh, you guys quit screwing around. The Riddler is being a huge jerk. He just
Put your
hijacked an
dicks
armored
away.
car.
The Riddler's back.
So we get a high-speed chase. Enough of this male bonding. But first,
I love this. This is pre Nightwing and Babs dating. So he's like, does she have to listen to everything? Nosy broad.
first we get this massive spread of the Batcave where we see Jim Lee's ridiculous technology that's holding up 15 different bat, mobiles. They're trying to pick which
I love
one
the
to
fact
jump
that
in.
he's got all the old Batmobiles.
That's kick-ass.
Like even experimental Batmobiles, that we've never actually
he
seen
can't. What's he
used.
going to do? Sink them in the ocean? He can't like retire them or sell them.
Yeah,
They're Batmobiles,
the movie
right?
Batmobile is here. The one from the 70s and 80s is here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome.
It's awesome. Batman, they jump into the Batmobile and they're racing to Gotham, and there's this kick-ass scene from overhead where we see him whipping around traffic, and you can see that
With the bat shape.
the headlights make a bat symbol. Oh,
We commented on that in last episode or last time
it's
because
such a
we
great
saw it
touch.
before.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
This Riddler is working with some like super beefy dudes. They have, of course, stolen an armored car because what could possibly go wrong? Who would stop him, right? And Batman drives headlong, T-bones the armored car. It's pretty badass.
Well, because he's got that old school, like original Batmobile, like weird bat face on the front of it.
And it's like a battering
Turns
ram.
out it's a battering ram.
Of course, why not?
Yeah. And it's like a cow catcher, and he fucking cow catches that thing.
Yeah, it's totally rad. But
Yeah.
after he catches the Riddler, in the aftermath, they're checking stuff out, and he's like, what is that weird smell? And he finds some weird ash, and guess what? It has something to do with Lazarus pits.
Shut up.
I
You're
know.
kidding.
Get out of here. So now we have two monkeys in the wrench. We've got Clayface in the story, and we've got a Lazarus pit that can bring people back from the dead. Shit is going on. Big time.
Shit is going on. I love this Nightwing Batman relationship, not just the confiding in him and him giving him advice, but like when they both eject from the Batmobile, they fall right back into it.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Like they had never stopped being partners.
Yeah, instantly. Like
It's amazing, this fight.
It's just old thought. This is just how we work. They just sink right back into it, right? Meanwhile, the Joker's being paid a visit by a man with a bandaged face, Joe Patrick. And when he takes those bandages off, turns out Hush is Two-Face. But this isn't Two-Face anymore. This is just plain old bald Harvey Dent with a fixed face.
Yeah.
Which I will have questions about later. But we're not going to reveal it right now.
It's weird to me that you don't actually see, like, I get what they're going for with this whole like split panel thing where it's Joker and Harvey on the left and Bruce and Selina on the right. So they're both unmasking, right? Because this is the moment where Bruce reveals his identity to Selina. And he's like, baby, I'm Bruce Wayne.
That's the idea. I think Jeph Loeb is trying to say, here you go. Here's your false MacGuffin of who Hush is. The big reveal, right?
But it's just kind of strange to me that it doesn't end on a splash page of the front of Harvey's healed face. That would, any other normal comic, that's how it would end.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're doing this split screen thing. Yeah, it's a little different.
We want to do this side by side to like lead us astray and make us believe that it is Harvey Dent and he's all fixed, but he's crazier than ever.
I think
I'm still in buy it here. I'm still in buy it territory.
I am too. But we're like, Harvey Dent is walking around with bandages on his face, wearing a trench coat.
Yeah.
We are meant to believe that he is Hush.
Right.
You and I know, in hindsight, that he is not Hush, nor is he pretending to be Hush.
Nor does it even make much sense that he would be Hush at this point.
And so it's just a coincidence that Harvey is also walking around in a trench coat with a bandaged face.
Yes. This is where things get a little silly.
But right now it's only just a little silly.
It's pure happenstance, but that is a hell of a happenstance.
And also, as far as this single issue is concerned, if you had never read the following 4 issues, you would just be like, oh shit, Hush is Harvey Dent.
Right.
You would not think it's a silly happenstance. You would think that that's what you're supposed to
No, you would still think it has to be a silly happenstance because there's no way Harvey Dent could know all the shit that Tommy Elliott knew to orchestrate all this personal stuff. There's no way. It's impossible.
Unless he got to unless he got to Tommy Elliott.
Okay. I guess.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we've seen things like this happen before.
Right.
Hugo Strange it was able to.
That is true. And we do still think that Tommy is dead. So maybe he tortured him and got info. I don't know.
Yeah. But yes. So right now, like, I'm looking back, like, I am seeing the big picture and I'm like, so Harvey's just wearing a trench coat because it's his style,
I guess.
And he's perfectly healed under those bandages. I'm not sure that's how recovery works.
That's silly. But also, let's keep in mind, Batman got much better from brain damage very quickly as well.
You're right. That's true. You're very right.
Right. Like I would argue,
yes, this is a buy it. Let's move on. There will be time to re-examine the facts at the end.
I would definitely argue that if you want to look at the scale of people healing too fast, Harvey healing from, getting his face fixed, probably more believable than what happened to fucking Bruce.
Really? I would go the opposite way because Harvey was so messed up for so long, and it wasn't just.
I mean, sure, but Bruce broke several bones.
It wasn't just physical damage;
and
it was
his
mental damage.
Brain was bleeding, Joe. They had to do miracle
there was a piece of his skull missing.
surgery.
Specifically, he had to take out a chunk of his skull. Yes.
Yeah. Regardless, we're on Batman 616. Hush, Part 9: The Assassins, featuring a cover that harkens back to Batman's first face-off with Ra's al Ghul.
You know that at least one of these people on this cover does not have a shirt on.
Well, that's just it. The 244 is the cover we're talking about. But the cover of 244, our Batman is shirtless and sexy. These cowards.
Yeah.
They didn't make him shirtless here.
This
Whatever.
is different. Yeah.
That's fine. We begin with Batman boarding.
It's just the coward's way out.
Batman boarding a LexCorp jet midair to abduct Talia al Ghul, who is running LexCorp at the time. So it makes sense.
Yes.
Because
did we address this in the first part? I think we did.
We did. And who else is going to know where her dad is better than Talia? There's no way he's going to find out any other way.
Certainly.
He's trying to figure out this Lazarus Pit BS. So he's got to go kidnap her. Makes sense.
Oracle is like, what are you doing? Do not attack that passenger jet. Yeah. What are you doing?
I do like Batman.
And Batman's like, shut up.
They have Batman in a Halo suit with a full rebreather because he's obviously jumping out of a plane at a very high altitude and he's not going to be able to breathe really well. Talia, on the other hand, just looking good in jeans and an open shirt, so her tatas are hanging out, She'll be fine. Don't worry about that.
Well, I mean, by the time they jump out, they're parachuting, so they're going much slower.
Sure, I'm just saying they jumped out at a very high altitude, high enough.
No, you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong.
That Batman needs a rebreather. Okay,
it's very true.
Yeah. Now, only one problem with this plan. Talia and her dad, they're not speaking right now. They're not on real good terms.
They're broken up.
Sorry,
but
Batman.
Matt, you know how committed Batman is to the bit? Even the carabiner or whatever you might call it that connects the straps of his chute pack to the actual parachute is shaped like a bat.
Yeah. I mean, well, okay, not just that, but the aircraft.
The parachute is also shaped like a bat. The aircraft that approached that aircraft was shaped like a bat. Lex Luthor is the president. Some dude that works for Lex runs it. Do you want to? This isn't just anybody, Matt. This is the vice president. Do you know who the vice president is?
Wasn't this Superman's pal?
Pete fucking Ross.
Pete Ross should fucking know.
The vice president of the United States.
Yeah, yes. I mean, he does. He says he was Batman, sir. We have confirmation through SATCOM. So Pete Ross is not a total idiot.
I mean, Pete Ross is not really best pals with Superman anymore because he's divorced from Lana at this point. And
Pete went through some shit, huh? All right. Well,
they went through some shit. Yeah. That's true.
Well, I'm sure there's people who work for the Trump administration that got divorced too, but I digress. Batman comes back to the cave after dropping Talia off with Catwoman to hide her and finds a goddamn scimitar stabbed into one of the computer interfaces. This,
Yeah.
of course, has got to be Ra's al Ghul sending a message, right? Because he's the only one good enough to do something like this.
Right. Except for one of the other 18 villains that know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Right.
The list is growing every issue, it seems.
We cut to totally ripped Jim Gordon in bed. Like, he is fucking shred, man.
I mean, he's got to do an annual police exam.
I guess.
Year, you know?
Yeah, so does Harvey Bullock, Joe.
I'm just saying, you don't become the commish by eating donuts.
Sure. Two-Face pays him a surprise while he's sleeping. He reveals that the pistol used to kill Tommy Elliott was Jim Gordon's old service weapon. But
there it is.
We know that Jim Gordon did not shoot Tommy Elliott.
Right.
I mean, come on. So I don't know if that helps us at all with our mystery, other than who got it and how did they get it.
Now, hold on. Speaking of things starting to get a little silly, I want to point out a few things. He's having a calm conversation with, well, not calm. He's got his gun out. He's having a conversation with Harvey.
As opposed to how it would be with Two-Face. I would argue this is very calm.
Right. Yeah, you're right. He says Batman needs our help now more than ever. Gordon is, of course, unconvinced. He says, I heard it's going to take a little more than some plastic surgery to make me believe you've changed. I heard about that stunt you pulled at Arkham, getting the Joker released, posing as his attorney. And then Harvey says, I've had my license reinstated by the state.
Joe Patrick. Now, normally you would yell at me for this kind of shit, but like in the pages of Amazing...
You know I would not yell at you for something so ridiculous.
Lex Luthor is the president, okay?
That's fair, but we know that... Yeah, okay.
Lex Luthor is the president, Joe. This isn't even on the level of like they gave Norman Osborn his job back at Oscorp. This isn't even at that level. But what it's doing also... making the mystery even weirder because all of a sudden Harvey is a good guy.
It's a good guy.
Harvey's trying to do the right thing.
Removing a suspect.
Two-Face is gone.
Allegedly from the list.
Two-Face is not a problem anymore. It's just me. It's Harvey. I'm back, baby. I'm bald, but I'm back.
I'm bald and I'm beautiful.
Meanwhile, in North Africa, a very skinny, lithe Ra's al Ghul was waiting for Batman to show up. So they could have another fight, right? But this fight, it's going to be different than the last time they met because this Batman, he is not playing. And Ra's al Ghul, not quite ready for that, I don't think. Ra's is also, he's weakened. He admits that he was not behind any attacks. And he's like, look, I would tell you, I have nothing to hide. If it were me, first of all, you'd never know it was me. And you'd never see it coming. But
well, I mean, if I wanted to send you a message, I would...
Yeah.
I would confess to planting that scimitar in your computer because I wanted you to come to me.
Right. He also goes on to say, like, I don't know what to tell you about this Lazarus Pit shit. I'm just as mad as you are. No one should be using these but me.
Yes.
So this...
And that is a key plot point.
Right. This also leads me to believe, I mean, this is him also saying, like, I didn't stick a fucking sword in your stuff either. I've been here in North Africa, man. So I didn't send you this message. Someone is playing you and sending you to me to get them off their trail. Mm-hmm. While this is happening, Lady Shiva has been dispatched to go get Talia. Because, you know, I mean, like, who do you call? You know, when Batman kidnaps your daughter? Yeah, the master killer, Lady Shiva. But Catwoman, she shouldn't have any problems here, right? It's going to be fine. She'll be able to deal with Lady Shiva. At least she thinks so. But she gets her ass pasted.
Yes, because canonically, Lady Shiva, as far as anyone is concerned at this point, Lady Shiva is the best hand-to-hand combatant in the terrestrial DC.
I mean, she still is, right? Like, there's nobody better.
Cassandra Cain, I believe, is considered.
I thought she's number 2, and now.
No, I think she has surpassed Shiva.
I thought the whole story was you're number 2, and that's why you get to challenge me. And she's like, I don't want to challenge you.
That was in the Batgirl book that we love from the early 2000s.
Oh, but since then she's
from the late
Shiva?
90s. I think now at this point, Cassandra Cain has surpassed Shiva as the best fighter, the best martial artist in the DC universe. Yeah,
fair enough.
That's not like from 1,000 years in the future and you know, has studied literally every martial arts to exist. But so this Shiva, best fighter on the planet Earth, She has no problems whipping Catwoman's ass. This panel where she's just like effortlessly blocking Catwoman's punches and kicks is incredible.
It's another one of those where like Jim Lee is drawing it with like you can see through, you know, it's like all hands and fists, but there's one Catwoman, so you see the motion. And meanwhile, Shiva has not moved. She's in perfect place.
Right.
It's like block, slap, knocks her the fuck out.
I love it. But here we learn that this is where we learn what you said. Like Raish has had enough. We cut back to the desert. Raish has had enough. I've entertained you this evening because we seek the same person.
Right.
Your problem has become my problem because one of my few remaining Lazarus pits has been defiled.
Right. But more importantly,
Lazarus pits are a non-renewable scarce resource, and I'm running out of them, and somebody had the gall to use one.
And more importantly, he says to him, ask yourself, detective, who in your life would wish to come back from the dead? Now, another layer to the mystery. Is he talking
Which is
about
a great line that makes no real sense because if you're dead, you don't really have the ability to jump in a Lazarus pit.
But yes, but somebody may have planned for this, and you bring me to Lazarus pit,
of course,
and I get to come back, and there is someone in his life that was killed that we will be talking about shortly here.
Yeah, but I don't think this person would have had a post-death resurrection.
No, I don't think so either. But they're going very much going to lead us to believe something like that is happening, right?
Well, but also, did somebody use the pit on Tommy? You know, like we don't know what's going on.
We'll get there. We don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's going on.
But what we're doing now is we've injected return from death into the mystery.
Yes. So, now there is a supernatural element. Well,
I also
I don't know what you call
not so much supernatural. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure, supernatural. But I think the coolest thing in this fight is Batman, who normally would never do something like this, just fucking stabs, just stabs Rush.
Yeah, because he knows where to stab a guy without it being fatal.
Well, not just that though; it will be fatal if he doesn't get to a Lazarus pit. And he's like, now. Talk, you got a certain amount of time before you bleed out and fucking die. And I know you're not going to let that happen because you're too much of an egomaniac. So tell me what's going on. And Rosh is like, well played, sir.
Yeah. Now, it hasn't been drawn that way for the entirety of this issue, but I did notice that the tip of the ear of Batman's cowl is missing again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the implication is that Jim Lee just forgot to draw it that way, or if we are to assume that Raish accidentally cut his ears off.
Well, both of them are cut off. So yeah, there is a scene where
you're right. Yeah. I see it. Right. I see it right happen. They're very tiny. Yeah.
They're both cut off. So Roch, he's good. He cut them off.
He cut the tips off
Batman was the little ears. Just the tip. So Shiva takes out Catwoman, no problem. And then the world's greatest fighter gets knocked out from behind by Talia when she's not looking. Don't love that.
Well, look.
No, don't love it. Don't love it. This is as bad
Talia is also a capable fighter, for one thing.
I'm not saying she's not. Lady Shiva whips her ass any day of the week. No question.
You're right, but there are circumstances.
Talented martial arts.
Lady Shiva is gloating. She didn't think that
I still don't love it. I understand.
She didn't think that Talia was loose. Like
this is as bad as Jedi's getting shot in the back when they weren't looking.
She was caught unawares, and Shiva doesn't have ESP. Like, so it's not like.
Nah, I don't love it. He
sensed a disturbance. It's just like, oh.
Regardless, we see Talia escape, and she's just like, "This is bullshit. I am not involved in any of this. I'm trying to get back to do my job for Lex Luthor and run his company." And she basically comes in, talks to Batman. He discovers Catwoman on the floor, beaten up, not dead, beaten up pretty bad. And he's like, "Oh crap." And she's basically like, "This is all your fault, man. You're doing all this. You want to know who did this? You did, Batman. You're getting played. And you need to figure it out because it's screwing up everybody else's shit."
Yeah. And we also see that, like, originally Talia was just gonna piece out of there. Like, she calls her little helicopter plane guy and she zips up on a rope, leaving Catwoman unconscious in the room with an unconscious Shiva. And if Shiva had woken up first, that would have been bad news.
I mean, yeah, well, maybe. I would like to think that she was like,
Talia comes back is the point. Like,
yeah.
Talia comes back and rescues Catwoman.
But I would also think that Shiva's not going to kill her while she's unconscious. She'd wait till she wakes up. She's like, no way, I want to fight. Come on.
Maybe.
I don't think she's a murderer like that. But Talia does say to Batman, I told you recently there was something different about you. Now I know why. You care for Selina. And your mysterious opponent knows this. And they're going to use that against you. Is she worth it? And Batman goes, yes. This is after Selina.
That's one way to interpret it.
This is after Talia lays one on him, too, and gives a big smooch.
Yeah, he's like, hey, baby.
Man, Batman, he's not good with the ladies. I'll tell you what. And they know it. They work him, man. They know it.
Oh, well, yeah. No, Batman, I mean, of course he's not. Because every relationship he's ever had with a woman has been play acting.
So the big themes we've learned here, Harvey, supposedly a good guy. He's Harvey again. He's doing great. He's not Hush. He took the mask off. We learn it's not him. Rosh tells him, it's not me. I have nothing to do with this. You're getting played. But somebody in your life wanted to return from the dead. And Talia calls out, everybody knows you're in love with Catwoman and they're going to use that against you. These are our biggest themes that have been introduced. This is still buy it. This is still solid. Fucking buy
rules.
it. That fight scene.
Still good.
Fan-fucking-tastic, man. I loved it.
It's a great fight scene, and you know, we're getting some things here that are now a little bit like, all right, well, maybe that's kind of goofy. Like maybe the Harvey Dent being dressed exactly like Hush.
This is
almost exactly like Hush.
Yes.
Because when we finally see Hush in full, he's wearing some sort of costume.
Right. There are some plot things going on here that we're starting to go.
Like Harvey Dent with a trench coat and a ribbed turtleneck and bandaged face. Like that's close enough to how Hush looks for us to think, oh, Harvey is Hush.
Sure.
And it's a little bit silly when it's just like, nope, I'm just Harvey.
It's more than a red herring. It is a lie. That's what it is. They have lied.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
Batman 617 is Hush, Part 10, The Grave. It's time to figure out where all this coming back from the dead shit happens. We go back, dealing with the hidden message in the Batcave. Batman and Catwoman are investigating. They're analyzing all the clues. Batman is looking at the scimitar that he still thinks Ra's al Ghul may be stabbed in the Bat computer, believing it contains a deeper message than just a threat. As he's contemplating this, Tim Drake shows up. And Tim is pissed, man.
Yeah.
He does not want a new mommy. He is not into it. And
no, sir.
He's like, get her out of here. She is a criminal. Him and Catwoman get into it. He even fucking smacks her.
Yeah, punches her one.
Punches her in the face. Yeah. They wrestle for a while. Batman breaks it up. He's like, that is enough. Calm down. And she's like, don't tell me. And he's like, this isn't a discussion. You both need to settle down. Robin, she's my guest. She can't be trusted. He's like, my choice. Whatever. And then he shows Robin, here's how much I trust her. He takes the cowl off in front of both of them.
Yep.
And Tim is like, ah, you told her?
Yeah.
They should have had him do a spit take. That would have been great.
Yeah.
He is so pissed at this point because Tim, he's brilliant. He's also a detective. He understands this is completely uncharacteristic. This is a bad idea. I can't believe you do it. This is exactly what Talia is talking about. If you have a girlfriend, people are going to find out. They're going to use that against you, man. Bad idea. So they tussle a little more. Catwoman.
Now, to Batman's credit, I thought in my head, I remembered him calling him Tim, but he doesn't say the word Tim in front of Catwoman.
He keeps saying Robin.
Him Robin.
He keeps saying Robin. So
because he knows what a secret identity is all about.
Right. So. But still, like, you're both in the Batcave. Sooner or later, she's going to figure some shit out. You know?
Well, I mean, there's no I adopted this tiny kid who is now a superhero. Like,
right.
Tim is just Batman's neighbor.
Right. So. No, that's fair. It's not like Dick Grayson lives upstairs and that's a real easy one to put together. Right. But Catwoman gets pissed, gets on the dumbest looking bat cycle I've ever seen and drives away. And Tim is like, haha, so you think she bought it? Hey, he was acting. He was acting the whole time. That's how good
this
Tim
is. This is a bad bat cycle.
It's a terrible bat cycle. But the really cool part of this is, yes, Batman trusts her. yes, Batman wanted to let her know he trusts her, but he still needed to use Tim for this little fit just to make sure everything is above board. He's still kind of a shitball. He can't fully trust her. I love it. I have to hand it to the boy. He wants to be the world's greatest detective. And from what I've seen so far, he will be someday. Sorry, Tim. No. Meanwhile, on the streets of Gotham, Catwoman runs into the Huntress, who is still dressed in full insane Jim Lee attire and riding her motorcycle in a fashion that looks so impossibly stupid. Like I just can't even.
She's like laying down.
This is a sex pose. This is not how someone rides a motorcycle.
Yeah, right. This is she's presenting.
I don't know how else to say it. I still like the crazy Huntress outfit, but it's totally ridiculous. Catwoman and Huntress get into it because Huntress is acting crazy.
As the scene intensifies and they're talking, we see Huntress talking to Catwoman. She says, there's the monologue, the monologue from Batman, or pardon me, the captions from Batman, where he's like, the reason I did this play acting with Tim, because while I would not have told Selina that I am Bruce if I didn't trust her, I cannot escape the obvious conclusion that whoever is messing with my life, whoever killed Tommy, knows that I am Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, he has figured it out. Whoever is messing with me knows that I'm Bruce Wayne.
To be, yeah, of course. They've been in the Batcave, Joe.
and so like the last person he told its identity to is Catwoman.
Right.
And so, you know.
Yeah.
And so they end up at a cemetery. Huntress says, we didn't know. And Catwoman's like, what are you talking about? Huntress says, when we took the money for the bike, for the equipment, for the new uniform, we checked the guy out. He was clean.
Yeah. Huntress
the money
getting
was
played
clean,
too.
or we wouldn't have taken it. And then they killed him. I knew it was all going to unravel when they killed him. Catwoman is like, what the fuck are you going on about? And that's when Huntress starts to get manic, and we're like, oh, she's been drugged.
Yeah.
But the implication to me here is that Tommy financed Huntress because he's the only person that's died.
Back up. Hush has financed her.
No. Look.
Oh, no, you're right. I guess it would have been Tommy because
we checked the guy out. He was clean.
Yeah.
But when they killed him, I knew it was all going to unravel.
So she's got to be talking about Tommy. And this is why...
She must be talking about Tommy.
And this is why she's going nuts, because she's like, I'm going to get framed for this. I was right there in Crime Alley.
And that's when the fear toxin kicks in, because now she's scared that Batman's going to think that she had something to do with Tommy's death because she took his money.
Right. Well, I mean, she's been framed. It's just right there. It's how long before Batman goes, well, she was right there in Crime Alley.
Because it happened in Crime Alley.
Yep.
They knew that I would be the first one to be on the scene when Batman needed help. Like, all of this stuff. And he's like, he's going to blame me. He's going to think it's me. And then she freaks.
So she goes nuts. It turns out she has been dosed. Joe, the Scarecrow, is Hush. It's right there. He's been manipulating everyone with his magic scarecrow gas, right?
I'll tell you this. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. Blew my mind, right? But here's the problem. When we finally go after Scarecrow, because she's figured it out, Batman knows Catwoman's going to be able to handle Selina. She's, you know, or not.
Well, and
Huntress.
he's watching this fight and he's like, okay, now I know.
Yeah.
Catwoman was not involved. Now I know that Huntress is the one who got played.
And that's when Tim goes, well, first he's like, stay here. And Tim's like, but? And he goes, don't argue. I need a second pair of eyes. He's like, what am I looking for? Not what? Who? And he goes, okay, who? As Batman jumps away. And there he is. Hush punches Tim in the face. Wham.
But he whispers because he's committed to the bit.
Well, sure.
The Hush bit. He's Tim says, okay, who? And Hush whispers, me.
But then what does Hush say? And then he
calls Tim a pretender.
Yes. Now.
What?
Who would be someone that would be upset about someone else that was in a Robin costume that's not
Who
around
would know
anymore.
Bruce Wayne's identity.
That knows Bruce Wayne's identity, and
That's mad about dying. Wants to come back from the dead.
and may want to return from the dead. I'll give you one guess.
Martha Wayne.
No, it's Orpheus. No one cares about Orpheus. Of course I'm kidding. No, we know who it is. It's Jason Todd. Oh my God, it's gotta be Jason Todd, the failed Robin. He's so upset. So Batman goes after the Scarecrow to try and get this information. Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, psychiatrist, turned
I love this,
psychopath.
like he has stolen the Huntress's weird ass motorcycle.
I will give the Scarecrow.
He's like on a joyride on Huntress's motorcycle.
He's at least riding it like someone would ride a motorcycle.
like a human being, right?
Not
Yeah.
the way Huntress was riding.
He's sitting on it, yeah, with his butt. Right.
Batman confronts the Scarecrow. He finds out the Scarecrow is obviously orchestrating all this chaos. The battle leads them through Gotham right into a private cemetery where Batman overcomes the Scarecrow and demands to know who is pulling the strings behind all these attacks. But before
It's not just any cemetery, Matt.
it's
Batman is like, this graveyard, no one should know who's buried
it
here.
slowly becomes obvious that we were led to the
Batman,
Scarecrow
yeah.
for a reason. And as that is happening, a batarang knocks Scarecrow out so he can't talk and tell him anything. And Batman turns around to see Hoosh holding young Tim Drake right there. Who are you? I demand to know. And finally, Joe, Hush is revealed. But he's like gloating. He's like, the world's greatest detective, and you still haven't figured it out? Life's just a game, Batman, and this time you lose. Jason Todd became Robin after Dick Grayson, hoping to harness the rage that had driven him throughout his life. I taught him how to fight. He knows all my secrets. He has been dead for years, but here he is in a snazzy new outfit. He's still got the domino mask on. He looks great. He's wearing the trench coat.
This is a pretty fucking kick-ass moment, I'll tell you that much.
This is a very kick-ass moment. There are some silly things going on here.
And now,
And we'll get there.
Okay, you tell me what you think is silly in this moment.
So if we are surmising that there's been twists and turns, who is Hush, who is Hush, who is Hush, and there's been several people wearing bandages, wearing trench coats, and people that died or maybe impersonated a death, and we know Clayface is at play somewhere, right? There is no question here, because just like Ra's al Ghul told him, someone used a Lazarus pit. We are meant to believe Jason Todd has returned from the dead, and someone helped him do it. And Joe Patrick, not more, I can't find the timestamp, but not more than 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes tops, said it's kind of silly to think that Jason Todd had all that in play when he was a kid.
Right. Because you said, because I was reacting to Raisha's line, who would want to come back from the dead, which means that somebody would have to know that they're gonna die at some point, and that they put a plan in place to come back when it's time.
Sure.
I don't think that part of it. I think that part of it is silly.
That's what I'm saying. If they want us to believe that Jason Todd is back, now has someone else done this and manipulated Jason Todd?
Has somebody done this to Jason? Has somebody dug up Jason and dunked him in a Lazarus pit?
Or is this just another fucking trick like everything else has turned out to be?
There's two issues to go. And so if you think that we're done seeing reveals, we're not there yet.
We're not even close.
I do something that I do appreciate is that at no point are we to assume that the Scarecrow is actually in charge.
No, and Batman doesn't think so either.
Batman is just like, you used your expertise as a psychiatrist to work up profiles on all of these people to position them in the right way on behalf of this as yet unseen, now seen villain. But at no point does Loeb say, maybe Hush is the Scarecrow.
No. But that's not the point, because they're leading up to this Jason Todd reveal. And I will give Loeb, if there is someone in Batman's life that would know all this stuff and have all this access, 100% Jason Todd. Yeah. He was in the cave. He was trained. He knows all the shit. He was there. He understands Ra's al Ghul, Lazarus Pits, all this shit. He knows all of it.
Well, and here we are standing over Jason Todd's empty grave.
Yes.
There's like the evidence is mounting that this is legit. So at no point do I think that Jason planned for his resurrection.
Right.
But I think that at this point in the story, it's totally plausible that Jason somehow is returned from death, maybe through the Lazarus Pit or some other way. And he's mad at Batman for letting him die, abandoning him, moving on without him, forgetting him, what have you. Whatever drives villains crazy. Jason Todd is the one that is forgotten and alone because Batman moved on to shiny new toys. And he's mad, and now he's a villain. His name is Hush.
Sure.
I remember distinctly. We see at least part of Hush's costume earlier, and in that circle on his chest is an H.
Right.
He has taken the time to put on a different version of that costume, and it's an R, like Robin.
Because he's the original Robin. He's back. He's going to show you.
He's the second Robin. But yeah.
Well, no, but as far as he's concerned, he's the best Robin and the only Robin. Everybody else fake.
Well, sure, yeah.
But Joe, this is a lot of discussion for nothing because we're on to Batman 618.
All right, but hold on. This issue is still a buy it.
It's still a buy it. Okay, 618. Hush. Part 11.
618. I have a feeling that you and I are probably going to start disagreeing on some things.
This is where we start. This is where things, start to get a little silly.
Like no spoilers, but
a little forced with certain plot things, right?
Maybe. That's one way to look at it. But let's continue.
So Jason Todd holding Robin hostage. He's got the Batarang to his throat. He is telling Batman, I'm behind all of it. I know what you're doing. You're thinking about when I died. Here's how there's
another
blood on your hands.
Recreation of Magnola's cover.
Yeah, because you couldn't get there in time to stop the Joker from killing me. He's working and working and working him. And I will have questions about how he knows some of this stuff in a little bit. But
that's just it.
If it is Jason Todd knows all this. I agree with that.
Yes.
Someone else may not. And probably shouldn't, but
it depends.
Yeah, well,
okay, so it depends, and we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Also, like we can see that this Jason is older,
right?
And so the implication is that Jason was returned from the grave
as a younger man, and got old
when he was still like relatively quickly after his death,
apparently,
because now he's had a chance to grow up a little. And because otherwise he'd be the same age as Tim. Right.
Regardless, we're assuming a lot at this point that we don't need to talk about very shortly here.
Yeah, but Batman, as Jason is going on and on, Batman is like, if I were living any other kind of life, I would think that this is insane, but it's not impossible to come back from the dead.
I totally understand all that.
Superman died, Green Arrow died. No, I'm saying I'm saying I am appreciating Batman's monologue where he's like, this could be real.
Yeah. And it's a good thought. There is a chance this could be real. I've got to investigate. But we don't have time for that. He's going to kill Robin unless Batman does something. Luckily, Catwoman jumps in the scene and whips the Batarang out of his hand. Batman tackles Hush and the fight is on. They're beating each other up. Batman's getting bediffed in the face and then bedocked in the head. But he gives him a whoop and, and blocks a punch. Like, this Jason is very good. This Jason is fighting like a ninja trained by Batman. Certainly not like someone that might be impersonating Jason, but we're not there yet, right? They have a
right. Yes, you're right. And also, Batman continues to point out things in his monologue, like being dipped in the Lazarus pit breaks your brain.
Right. And he says the trauma of the boy's head.
Raish is able to come back from it. He's so used to it. He fights his way back from it and goes back to his normal self. But it's possible that Jason was dunked in the Lazarus pit and it broke him.
But he does says the trauma to the boy's head was so severe, even if the pit could revive him, there was no guarantee he would be capable of rational thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
would he
the Joker crushed his brain.
Smashed him with a crowbar.
With a crowbar. It's not like Ra's is getting too old. We got to dip him in there. It's not like that, or Ra's got stabbed by Batman and he's bleeding. No, brain crushed. I don't know if you come back from that, right?
I do like this line where Batman admits to himself, in the madness of grief, I actually considered putting Jason in a Lazarus pit myself, which is a very like human response to grief, or a human response to grief in the DC universe.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
So they have this big fight. Jason reveals all. It was me. I cut the line. I've been doing this. I've been behind everything the entire time. Ha! It's me, Jason Todd. I am Hush. But Batman slowly starts thinking it out. And he says, if you are who you say you are, then you already know thinking what we do is a game is what got Robin killed. And he's like, you're trying to make me angry, doubting who I am, thinking that will make me sloppy. And it does. Batman cracks him and thacks him and punches him in the face and he gives him a chock, which is a kick. They're having like a very ninja bat fight. And I'm going to keep stressing this because there's going to be a problem with that in a minute here. Right?
But at this moment, this is the moment where we are shown that Batman doesn't believe it.
He's starting to like.
He says
he's starting to question
whatever this villain is saying to me right now. They are using my grief over Jason's death, the joy I would feel about seeing him grow up.
Sure.
The fact that he had all of this intel about my personal life. They are using Jason's death against me, counting on the fact that his appearance is going to affect my abilities.
But he also says his coordination, his speed, the acrobatics, it's all too familiar. Bottom line, Jason was never this good. Which is kind of like, ugh. But if anybody would know, it's Batman.
Batman is still being fed fake clues by fake Jason Todd. He's like, it's right in front of your face, Batman. It's just like the Edgar Allan Poe story, the Purloined Letter, the first detective story ever written. A Batarang cut the bat line. The same front tire that blew out on the Batmobile is the one that Jason was stealing the night they met.
Right. It's all there.
It's like he's been leaving this trail. Yeah.
And at that point, he realizes, okay, I'm not fighting Jason Todd. I want to know who the hell you are. In a dramatic scene where Batman is holding him over the edge of the cemetery, which I think is like really high up in the air. Or no, they zipped up to the top of the church, and that's where. And he's holding him over the ledge, and he's like, "You are not the Robin who died." He calls him out. "You violated a child's grave. Referred to Robin as the pretender when it was you who was pretending, hoping that your appearance would make me pull the punches." And Jay's last attempt, like, to get to Batman, he's like, "I only wanted to be loved, Batman." That was great. Like, a little late for that now, bro. So Batman finally calls him out, and it's raining. And just like in The Wizard of Oz, the disguise melts away. It turns out it's fucking Clayface.
It's Clayface, yeah. And he's just like, if this had been Jason to make this lie perfect, he would have called me Bruce. Yeah.
Well, one, he would have called me Bruce. He also says, after this, Jason says, "I only wanted to be loved." He's like, "That was the mistake you made." Even in the end, Jason knew how much I loved him. Single T.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we know now that the villain faked Jason Todd's resurrection. He definitely knows Batman's identity, but he did not tell any of Batman's villains.
Maybe not. Yes. Okay. So
because Clayface would have called him Bruce.
Yes. We have a few problems here. I agree with that statement. Problem one, Batman says Jason Todd was never this good. You know, his moves and shit. You tell me Clayface is? You tell me Clayface is this ninja fucking good? Because I have never seen this character fight at this level. Like matching Batman. Maybe as a big blob spraying shit at him and knocking him against the wall. But this is just straight up, we're having a ninja fight.
Here's what the text tells us. You can choose to accept it or not, and I understand either way. He says it was Clayface mimicking a role. And now, as we remember, Clayface is an actor.
Sure.
Now, Tim says, why make Jason older? A corpse doesn't age. he says to hide the flaws.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm saying this is Batman.
Okay.
This is Batman saying, here's how they faked it so convincingly. They made him older to hide the flaws. We couldn't be sure exactly how Jason's voice sounded or how he moved and fought. He'd been dead for too long. The reason why he doesn't fight like Jason is because nobody really knows how Jason fought anymore. But Clayface could mimic Nightwing, which is why the moves seemed so familiar.
No, he's no Taskmaster. I don't buy it.
I'm just saying it is what it is.
But that's only half my problem.
But the idea that like they could have dunked Jason in the Lazarus pit when he was still a fresh dead kid and he grew up, that's never even considered.
Sure. But and I'm not even saying that. My problem here is this Clayface as Jason
Clayface
Todd
fights as good as Nightwing.
Not just that, he knows some extremely personal things that happened in North Africa with the Joker that no one else was around to see. This is a Saving Private Ryan moment where Matt Damon turns out to be telling the story, and he's recounted 3/4 of things that happened when he was not fucking around.
Or is it? Batman 619.
I mean, we'll get there, but when all is revealed,
I understand your point. I think you're forgetting a very large plot point that is revealed in the final issue. And so we're going to get there.
I'm starting to, things are starting to fray. The issue is still great.
Things are starting to fray, but I think it's because you're forgetting something. And so we're going to get to that in the finale. We're going to get to it in the finale.
All right.
Just trust me. We will talk about this again very shortly. Catwoman shows up and says Huntress is in a bad way. She was ranting and raving that somebody betrayed her. And Batman's like, yeah, and she betrayed me, but we don't know because, you know, of all these weird mind games.
Right.
Catwoman's like, I don't like being followed if you don't trust me. And Batman says, I trust you. So now it's for sure Batman knows that Catwoman is on his side. And she says, for what it's worth, I'm glad it wasn't Jason. And Batman says, I'm not, because that means that the person responsible is still out there.
Right. So Clayface melts away. He's just gone. He melted and he left.
He washed away. Yeah. To come back another day.
So Batman is frustrated. He's looking for answers. He visits Oracle. She's at this time working in the Clock Tower HQ. They're examining the electronic relay device that he previously found hidden in the Batcave that was used to gather all kinds of intelligence on Batman.
Yes. Intelligence about Batman, like details about the death of Jason Todd.
Bullshit. I do not believe that Batman went home and wrote in it, Dear Diary, today was tough.
You don't think Batman has comprehensive case files? Yes, he absolutely does.
I find this hard to believe.
Matt, he's the world's greatest detective. He keeps records.
Now,
I'm not saying it's a personal account. I'm saying
find it hard to believe.
Whatever. Yes, absolutely did.
Whatever.
But what we are learning now is that it was the sword.
Well, it was the sword, but the
sword wasn't a sword. The sword was a delivery device for this electronic relay.
Right. So from there, we find out who planted the sword. And
but wait, before we get one very important question from Oracle. After the fall, when your Batline was cut,
right,
you were barely conscious, so much so that you had to use Morse code. What made you think of Tommy Elliott?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a question we asked for 22 years.
But he says he was...
And completely forgot about.
Yeah.
And Batman says, like, hey, best surgeon in the country, as good as my dad, if not better. Childhood friend, now he's dead, blah, blah, blah. And Oracle is like, yeah, about that. The Batcave was bugged. And look at who it was.
Yeah. Turns out... And it's Harold Allnut.
Harold. Who is also wearing a trench coat.
Right. Also wearing a trench coat because he's Hush. Obviously. He's been behind the whole
Harold
thing.
Is Hush.
Harold is Hush. Harold also had his hump fixed. He's not a humpback freak anymore.
No, he had his hump fixed.
So another thing, clues here. Things that we all had, that several of these people have in common. They had a problem. Two-Face had a screwy face. He was crazy. That has been fixed. Harold had a hump. He no longer has a hump. It has been
And he can
fixed.
speak.
Right. He can speak. Batman had a serious brain injury and had surgery and was saved. Who who could be behind all of these medical procedures. Suddenly Harold can talk. He's feeling great.
I love this bit from as Batman starts to realize he hesitates. He's like, you can speak?
Yeah.
He says, through the years, I used all my resources to find a way to repair Harold's body. But medical science is not like crime. There's not always an answer.
Right.
And so there's nothing to link these things until you have all of the pieces.
I suppose we'll talk about that when we get to it, but there's a pretty big issue there. we'll get to it, right? So Harold apologizes. My bad. I feel so bad for betraying you, bro. But I'm going to tell you who did it. It was kapow! Harold gets shot in the head. Oh my God. And who shot him in the head, Joe? Turns out, Hush. He's still here. Oh my God. Who could it possibly be at this point? And he says to the Batman, he walks up and he's whispering, what is a friend? A single soul dwelling in two bodies. And who likes to tell riddles like this, Joe Patrick?
Wonder Woman?
It was Wonder Woman. Yes.
Shit.
It is the Riddler. The Riddler is Hush. He's been Hush the entire time. There's no one else it could possibly be. We've gone through everyone, Joe. We've gone through everybody. It's gotta be
but I mean,
the Riddler.
Matt, wouldn't you think that the Riddler would like rip off his bandages and go, ha, it was me, Edward Nygma?
I mean, cliffhanger. Maybe that's going to happen.
The guy's got a fucking mental complex.
Obviously, that's what's going to happen in the very first panel of the next issue. But first,
obviously, yeah, you're right. Let's rate this issue.
The plot is beginning to fray a little bit. I'm giving it a buy it. It's still a buy it.
This is a buy it.
It's a solid issue. Batman 619. We're finally fucking here. Oh my God. The conclusion, and it's just called The End. We open with Batman cradling Harold's dead body. He's been gunned down by the mysterious bandaged figure known as Hush. Despite everything, Bats still doesn't know who Hush truly is. Obviously, you and I know it's the Riddler. Finally, the truth drops when Hush reveals he is, in fact, Thomas Elliot. It's been Tommy the entire goddamn time.
And Hush is wearing, before the reveal even, Hush is wearing the very distinct jade circlet.
Yes.
That they made such a big deal of earlier.
Right. It is as if to say, this has been in front of you, dear reader, since issue 1. Now,
we don't see him wearing that thing every time we see Hush.
No. But in this case, it's Tommy. We're being told this is Tommy. And he is quoting Aristotle. He's dropping all the hints that it's me. He's rubbing it in Batman's face during this fight, basically. So to let Batman know, you know who it is. I've been telling you the whole time. You just didn't want to admit it. And he's revealing how things went down with Harold. He's revealing how the whole thing came together.
Now, at this point, Hush says something that only Tommy Elliot would know. Only Tommy and Bruce would know, which is that when Batman says, where did you get this pendant? Hush says, I told you once to give it back or I'd hurt you so bad.
Right.
And then he says Batman's first name. He says Bruce.
Yeah.
And so that's a childhood memory. The fact that Tommy got mad when Bruce pranked him. And so it's hard to believe that it's anybody but Tommy Elliot.
It's hard to believe that Batman can't see that it's anybody but Tommy Elliot, but Batman in his head is
except we know that Tommy is dead.
Well, sure. Batman also just knew that Jason Todd was dead. So he should be asking some questions. He's thinking to himself, this enemy is a marksman. Possibly the assassin is Deadshot or trained by Deadshot. The guns are twin 45s. He's firing in pairs. 2 bullets killed Harold. The 45 holds 12 rounds unless he has one in the chamber. His trench coat, it's nearly generic, is totally generic, possibly on purpose. I've seen others wear it. Killer Croc, Jim Gordon, Jason, even Harold. When this all began, someone severed the bat line. I felt fracturing my skull. Since then, I've been searching for that individual, someone who has played the heroes and villains in my life like pieces on a chessboard. The game ends tonight. They have a huge fight scene, and it's like he doesn't want to admit that he knows it's Tommy. And it's
well, I think he did. I mean, he's practically admitting it when he's saying all that stuff. He's saying, but what we're also seeing things where Hush is like, do you think it's a coincidence that we're here on this bridge on a rainy night? And then it flashes back to the night that Tommy's mom and dad got in their car accident and his dad died. And we learn, well, according to Hush, that Tommy cut the brake lines because he was trying to kill his parents.
Yeah, we also learn
but his mom didn't die and ended up living until cancer took her.
Because Thomas Wayne saved her. And he's like, your father ruined that.
Yeah.
So Tommy's been planning this basically the day that Bruce, as a kid, took that stupid fucking necklace.
Well, that's probably not why.
Tommy decided
this whole time.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill my parents, and then later on, I'm going to be Hush. Like, yes, it started as a kid. You have no idea how lucky you were to be an orphan. All that money became yours to spend when I had to wait years, waiting for my mother to die from cancer of all things, pretending to be the good son. Yes, he is. According to him, he has planned this since his childhood. That is a bit ridiculous. That's as ridiculous as Jason Todd putting a plan in place to come back from the dead just in case, you know.
Okay, now Matt, I don't know if we necessarily need to assume he's been planning this particular thing since he was a kid.
He's saying he killed his parents and it all led to this. So
yeah, he wanted it. Well, yeah, it all led to this. Well,
sure.
Yes, because it's dominoes that are falling. But like Tommy did not know that Bruce Wayne was Batman when they were kids. He did not know a lot of the things that he had to know to become Hush. But what we do know for sure is that little Tommy Elliott was a fucking psychopath.
Apparently. And big Tommy Elliott.
Bruce dodged a bullet when that kid moved away.
And this grown-up Tommy Elliott is revealing everything. He's telling him Clayface impersonated me, faked my death. He's laying it all out, right? Now, he does lay out that he was working with Harvey a little bit and helped like surgically repair Harvey's face.
He fixed Harvey's face, yeah.
Right. But Harvey, there's not a lot of explanation.
Now, Matt, this is where there's a moment here. They're all on the bridge. Gordon, Harvey, Hush, Batman. And Hush is like, Harvey, what are you doing here? You know the agreement. And Harvey says, yeah, well, any good lawyer will tell you that agreements were meant to be broken.
Yeah, like Harvey shot Tommy.
He shoots twice. He shoots Hush twice.
True, but he also reveals that he shot Tommy Elliott in the alley with the police issued gun.
Because he thought Tommy was Hush.
No, he says, yeah, well, there's not a lot of vital organs you can hit when they're made out of clay. He knew it was Clayface.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. You're right. I forgot about that.
So he was completely like Harvey was totally in on this, apparently.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know to what extent, but Harvey at the very least knew that the Tommy Elliott that they found in the alley was a fake. And
here's his explanation.
Which means that Hush, he knew that Tommy was Hush.
More than that, he knew that Tommy was Hush. Yeah. And so Jim's talked to him. He's like, you're going to be charged for this. And Harvey's like, I'll take my chances with the courts. Do the cops really want Batman on the docket? And he said, you changed. What have you done? He's like, brought you here, betrayed the alliance. I did what I set out to do. Saved Batman when he needed it most. Come on. That is some Millennium Falcon flying in at the end of the movie to shoot Darth Vader so Luke can do the thing.
I think, I mean, maybe, but I also am okay with the idea that after all this time wasted as a crazy villain, Harvey's like, I need to make up for this. Batman and I were partners. We were friends back during the long Halloween days. And when the opportunity presented itself in the form of this villain that wanted to use my knowledge.
This is a batshit crazy plan to do so.
Well, Matt, the dude was batshit crazy until about 5 minutes ago.
He also reveals that Dr. Tommy Elliott performed his plastic surgery a brain surgeon, a man who specialized and became the world's greatest brain surgeon, also was a plastic surgeon in his spare time.
I mean, he also fixed.
That's a lot.
Harold.
Yeah,
He also fixed Harold. Look, man.
That's a lot.
Hank Pym was an entomologist that ended up building killer sentient
I'm
robots.
just saying, it's a lot.
It's not a lot in as far as comic books go.
So in the meantime, we do see Hush get shot twice by Harvey Dent. We don't see a body. He falls off the bridge.
No, we don't.
Into the water. Batman goes after him, never finds the body. 23 years later, we'll find out he didn't die.
No, we find out way sooner than that.
Well, sure.
Paul Dini, they did a bunch of Hush crap.
We have it all tied up. We got our answer. It was Tommy Elliott the whole time. Harvey was in on it, but he was secretly helping Batman when he was doing all this terrifying shit and supposedly like trusting this bad guy and shooting someone in the chest and stuff. Whatever.
So, epilogue in the cave. Superman's there. Batman says, I've been to Philadelphia, which is where Tommy had moved to and had spent all this time. This had been planned for a year, maybe two. They played him. He played on my emotions.
Well, not just that. The chips that Harold implanted were subliminally implanting images of Tommy Elliott into his brain.
To give Bruce the idea to call
start
him.
thinking about it. And that's where it comes in, like why Oracle was like, let me ask you a question.
Why call Tommy?
We hadn't heard of this asshole for 23 years, and then you Morse code Tommy Elliott. Where'd that come from? And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Blah. Now he's figured out exactly why he did it. He was manipulated by these chips. Which
right. And so that's...
makes a lot more sense. I had forgotten about that, I admit.
Right. And so that's like silly comic book contrivances aside. The idea that this person that showed up out of the blue that we had never heard of before now is revealed to be the villain. How is that not the most obvious mystery Hush is overrated at the end? They answer that.
Well, sure. In kind of an off-panel way.
The Riddler figures it out. Batman is like, this is not going to be recorded. No one is listening. I think you know why. Why did you do this? What was the point? Batman knows at this point that the Riddler knows he's Bruce Wayne. But the question is why?
Right.
The question is why. The Riddler says, I was in Philadelphia for a while when I found out I was sick. The Lazarus Pit brought me back from terminal cancer. That's why I planted the Lazarus ash in the armored car, because I wanted you to find it, because I wanted to sign my crime. He went to Elliot. He said, Tommy Elliott's mother died from cancer. And he said, yeah, I thought he'd pay a fortune for the cure. The cure is the Lazarus Pit. I'd solved it. Turns out he wanted something more. He knew I was from Gotham City, and man, did he hate Bruce Wayne.
I love that the Riddler knows. I love that. And I buy that Edward Nygma is smart enough to figure this out. It's the connection to him and Tommy. Sure, he goes to Tommy Elliott and to try and help him or whatever. But how could he possibly know that Tommy Elliott knows all this stuff? And why does he tell Tommy Elliott? And why does he need to?
Tommy
if he knows
doesn't know all of this yet. He hates Bruce Wayne. He meets the Riddler. The Riddler's like, I've got the cure for cancer. Your mom died from cancer. I'm in Philadelphia. Hey, he tries to, blackmail, extort, manipulate Tommy, whatever. He says, oh, you hate Bruce Wayne. And then he says, when you come out of the Lazarus Pit, it makes you crazy. Yeah, for a while.
Sure.
But it gives you a neat kind of clarity. And he says, riddle me this, who is under Batman's mask? And he reveals that he figured it out. So the Riddler told Tommy, the guy you hate the most is Batman.
Okay, he tells him, and then they launch a plan to just break into the Batcave and steal all his secrets. It's that easy? It's one thing if he goes and tells the Joker or Mr. Freeze or
I keep telling
Bane.
you, Matt, he's in Philadelphia. He's like, I'm in Philadelphia. I meet this doctor.
So he didn't tell Bane because he wasn't in Philadelphia?
Tell him I know how to cure cancer. He's mad because in Gotham City, I used to be somebody in this town. Now everybody has a gimmick. I was going to show them all. I met this doctor that hated Bruce Wayne more than anything. And guess what? I just happen to know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
So they're having a talk, and he's like, yeah, I'm from Gotham. I got cancer. He's like, oh, you're from Gotham? Yeah, you know Bruce Wayne? Ooh, I fucking hate that guy. Oh, yeah? Did you know he's Batman?
Yeah, I don't know if that's how it went down, Matt. It was probably a little bit more casual.
It is a little silly. You have to admit, it is a reach. I
actually don't.
I like that the Riddler knows, but I think this is a reach, and you're not going to change my mind.
I don't think
and
this is a reach.
And I'm not going to go back and forth on it. This is a reach.
That's fine. But in my opinion, the Riddler explains it all. For an undisclosed amount of time, the Riddler was in Philadelphia. He had come out of cancer. He met somebody that hated Bruce Wayne. He had knowledge that the doctor wanted. And so they concocted a plan together to create this villain, Hush.
I get it.
And so for 2 years, they planned this plot.
Broke into the Batcave, stole his secrets, bugged it, stole everything from him without him even noticing.
He had to tell Tommy, but he didn't tell anybody else, not even Clayface, when he was pretending to be Jason Todd.
Sure. And the Riddler also doesn't know where Jason Todd's body is. It's not there.
Well, that's because it's not there. But that's because he's alive. Well, that's a separate conversation.
That's a whole separate conversation. Yeah.
That's a separate conversation that I suspect when this was written, they already had planned.
Right.
But he said, Batman says, riddles are your compulsion, your addiction. A riddle that everyone knows the answer to is worthless. And that's how he knows that the Riddler will never tell.
Well, he also says, like, look, this is where you want to go with this. You think you have power me. All I have to do is tell Ra's al Ghul you used one of his Lazarus pits. And now you have the entire League of Assassins to deal with.
Exactly. Which I think is also great.
And all I have to do is not protect you. So that's when he's like, what good is a riddle that, you know the answer to if you can't tell anyone? Useless.
Yeah. And now I will say this. The Riddler does not say he doesn't know where Jason's body is. He doesn't, but
he says, well, that is a riddle, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. You and I know in hindsight that he doesn't, but he makes it seem like, wouldn't you like to know?
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean,
which is pretty great.
He's a Riddler. It's what he does. So from here, we flash to Batman and Selina at the graveyard burying Harold because, we feel bad. It's not Harold's fault. He was just a messed up
at the secret graveyard where Jason
dude that got made
buried.
better by a brain surgeon that doesn't do this stuff, but, on the side can, whatever.
Yeah.
He lets Selina know it was the Riddler. He worked with Tommy Elliott. They wanted to take apart my life, but they never expected that when Two-Face was surgically erased, Harvey Dent would emerge as a force for good. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, that is as plausible as Crocodile Man.
I suppose.
If we're gonna start splitting hairs about what's too silly, guys made out of clay, crocodiles, walking, talking crocodiles, and green goo pits that bring you back from the dead.
Sure, I get it. I get it. So Batman spells it all out for Selina, and she's like, "Oh man, well, it's over now, and I love you, baby, and things are going to be great. So don't worry about it. In fact, why don't you hush?" And he goes, "What the fuck did you just fucking say?" And she's like, "Whoa, dude!"
He's like, "How do we know that this attraction isn't all part of the subliminal thing, or if we're still under Ivy's spell?" And she's like, "Hush, kiss me, baby." And he's suspicious, briefly suspicious.
He squeezes her arms. And
but they break up.
Yeah. Why would you say that? She's like, "Oh, you're hurting me. What the hell's wrong with you, Bruce?" And all of a sudden he understands maybe this was a bad idea and I was just toyed with. And I don't know if any of this is real. And I told someone else who I am. The end.
I mean, it ends on oh shit. You know what? I don't know if that was,
Look, I'm not going to, they really push some elements of the story here because he was trying to do a thing. I like where it ends up. I'm giving this a buy it. This was fun, But I also think they had to make Batman look like kind of a doofus at some points that I don't fully believe.
Well, they had to make Batman look like a human being who responds to things with human emotions.
And also, it makes me feel...
For a long while was not the Batman we had.
It made me feel a little better to learn that he was being subliminally manipulated. And maybe that's what's messing with him.
And also Poison Ivy and also Fear Gas.
Right.
Like there's a lot going on here.
And in true mystery fashion, they leave it with a, but is he okay? Pam, pam, pam.
Well, and in my opinion, I think they also leave it kind of ambiguous whether or not Tommy really is Hush, because we never see him with his bandages off and Harvey fucking ganks him.
Well, but we also never see a body. So, I mean, like...
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like...
And they're careful to show.
Hush, the body disappears.
Also, Harvey... who says, I'm a good enough shot to not hit someone in the major organ, but you don't have to worry about it when they're made of clay, shoots Hush in 2 spots, like near his shoulders. Not in the face, not in the heart, but in
his shoulders, yeah.
Yeah, where he's probably wearing some kind of body armor or something, you know? So
yeah, there's enough ambiguity that maybe Loeb was like, well, it's probably Tommy, but can you be sure?
Well, sure. He left
and I think the answer is no, we can't.
He left it open a little bit, and we will find out in the pages of Hush 2, 23 years later,
we find out much sooner than that in the pages of Detective Comics where Paul Dini does the Heart of Hush storyline. It's all about Tommy Elliott.
I mean, it better be Tommy.
Yeah. No, I mean, Tommy is definitely Hush, but
it's super silly if it's not.
I think that if they had never brought Hush back, this could stand on its own as a storyline that's full of questions, and that's kind of what makes it cool.
I don't disagree with that at all. And like as a whole, this was way better than I remember it being. Way better. I was angry at it back in the day.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. And I think it's just because, like you said, the Batman that we had for so long had never really been humanized at all. And the thing with Catwoman felt really quick, and he was acting out of, the norm for this character. There is the aspect of, the chips and the mind control, but I still don't buy that they broke into the Batcave and did this. Or maybe Bruce is softening a little bit. And I don't think I liked that at the time. It feels better reading it now.
Yeah. And also, like the coincidences about Tommy showing up. We know now that was all part of the plan.
I still don't I like the Riddler aspect of it. I just don't like how they kind of smashed it together in the end. It's like, I got sick off panel, never talked about it. Went to a place, met him. We put together a plan off panel entirely.
Well, but that's how a lot of mysteries. That's how a lot of mysteries are.
But everything else is dropped in here with an answer. So the things you didn't see on the page, here's why you didn't see it. Here's what happened. Except that thing.
We didn't see Hush. We didn't see Hush funding the Huntress. We just hear her explain it.
She explains it. Yeah.
But we don't see it. We don't see a lot of things.
But what I'm saying is she was there when all this happened. She reveals everything and saying, that's why I was there. So we have the evidence. Yes. That's my only.
I mean, we have hearsay is what we have. If this were in court, it would be hearsay.
Sure.
And she never says Tommy Elliott. She doesn't know.
She says the guy and they killed the guy.
Right. And then they kill. I guess she does kind of say it was
Tommy Elliott. So I mean, Your Honor.
So
come on.
No, you're right. But I will not deny that Hush relies on a lot of comic book tropes that stretch suspension of disbelief, especially stuff about like, well, how did Clayface fight like Nightwing,
And how did Eddie and Hush figure out who Harold is? And how did Harold get everything into the Batcave without Batman not knowing?
I'll grant you stuff like that. And if you want, I can come up with no prize reasons. I'm not saying that they're on the page. I'm saying that in my head canon, I can justify it.
No, I get
Batman's
it.
Been,
and I don't need that.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, to my mind.
Sure.
I think Loeb has crafted a very compelling mystery that he explains every question that I had.
No, I agree.
With the glaring exception of how did Clayface fight?
I agree. Also, all the plastic surgery from a brain surgeon who is not
but again, that's one of the comic book contrivances.
Who is not a supervillain. Right?
That's one of the comic book contrivances I'm thinking of.
Right.
Medical specialists in comic books are specialists of every
and Batman
medicine,
not asking certain questions he definitely should have been asking and things like that. But whatever. Yeah. I'm giving this a buy it as well.
This is a buy it.
It's way better than I remember it being.
You cannot argue with the art throughout.
No.
This is incredible.
It's Jim Lee killing it. Other than some of the tech and the Huntress's outfit, killing it.
I mean, but he's swinging. He's swinging for the fences.
Well, this is what Jim Lee does. That's what you get.
Yeah. And not every design's a winner, but it's beautifully drawn, like stunning in many places.
So I'm willing to admit we were wrong. We came into this with an idea.
Yeah,
and
I was wrong.
It'd been too long since we read it. I'm willing to admit it's way better than I thought it was. There's still some silly shit, and they're still investigating that silly shit right now in the pages of Hush 2.
Hush is a buy it. It stands the test of time. I am willing to admit, with some caveats, we were wrong.
Yeah, same.
Excelsior!
And finally, that is it for THN 779. Next week, the new comic show returns with reviews of 8 new comics, but you can check out our written reviews for this week's comics right now at twoheadednerd.com. If you want to talk about your Hush memories, the return of Hush in Hatoosh, or any comic nerd junk, join our Discord. We've got a link at twoheadednerd.com. Then you can join us for the THN Gang Hang on Saturdays at 11 o'clock Central.
THN is a listener-supported podcast. It would not be possible without the generosity of donors like our patron, the GOAT, Patrick Gautier. If you like what you hear every week and you've got a fancy French last name too, and you want to access to exclusive THN content, it is easy to support the show. Sign up over at patreon.com/twoheadednerd. As little as $1 of your support gets you extra content and keeps this show cranking out. Can you believe how fucking cheap it is to make this thing?
Before we go, our weekly shout out goes to the first favorite writer I ever had, legendary writer of stuff, Peter David, who passed away on Saturday, May 24th at the age of 68, following a long series of illnesses. Affectionately known as Pad to his legion of fans, David was a formative comic book and science fiction author for many fans of a certain age, including Matt and me. He was an outspoken advocate for creators' rights and a critic of the comics industry, and he wasn't afraid to publicly call out anyone who deserved it, the big 2 publishers and big-name creators included. He was celebrated for lengthy, character-defining runs on titles like Supergirl, X-Factor, Aquaman, and most notably, The Incredible Hulk, a character on whom his influence is still felt today. Every Hulk story owes Peter David a debt of gratitude.
Definitely. We don't have Smart Hulk in the MCU without Peter David. Come on.
No, we do not. Word to you and rest in peace, Pad. Thank you for giving us a lifetime of stories.
Don't miss that guy. Until next time, true believers, remember to pre-order your comics or your retailer might just call you out as the bum you are. This is the Two-Headed Nerd.